Go.
Woo! Welcome to an all-new episode of Talking the Mayans. Boy, this week's episode was something else. So much to talk about. Just so much to talk about. We saw some people that we haven't seen in a long time head by. We saw some pretty major action. Got some huge secrets revealed. Just wow. Epically. Amazing show. Just amazing. But before we start talking about it, let me introduce Kinte, co-host extraordinaire. Kinte, how are you?
I am awesome, and I am so happy to be with you tonight. Unfortunately, it will be we will go on a hiatus. So when we cover the finale, we'll be trying. I guess we'll attempt to. Maybe we'll do next week's episode. I'm gonna try to find a way to do next week's episode, but I don't know if I'm able to see it. I'm gonna try, but more than likely we'll have to double up the last two episodes, or maybe we'll do 9 and then the finale. So, but anyway.
Well, one way or another, it's going to be a pretty amazing last 2 weeks. That is for sure.
It's going to be hard not to watch it. So.
Yeah, right? No kidding. Mm-hmm. I have to say that Mayans is one of the few shows that I actually watch when it actually comes on. Almost all of my other shows I DVR, and then because I'm in such a strange time zone, I DVR them and then watch them at night when, we kind of all have time to hang around. And Mayans is one of the few shows that when it comes on, I'm right there. I am right there to watch it. So it tells you how much I actually love the show. So, okay, just a bit of housekeeping to get through. And I don't actually really want to spend a whole lot of time on it because I don't know whether to make heads or tails of it. But Kurt Sutter apparently was, I guess he was fired. It sounds like a lot of drama. Twitter was full of whose side are you on? Screw Disney. Man, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I read Kurt Sutter's sort of testimony himself, and sounds like there was a lot of stuff going on. So, did you have a chance to see that?
Yeah, actually, I was going to suggest that night that we do a special episode about it. Just because of it's important, right?
Yeah.
But just things got crazy, and I wasn't able to do that. So, I read and I saw a lot of the conversation about it, and just to say, if you take him at his word, and it's believable because we're talking about Disney here,
Yeah, I got James Gunn in my head.
We might differ on how we feel about James Gunn, but I don't know if I'm.
Well, I don't. I mean, and they walked it back, so.
Me personally, well, I'm not going to even get into how I feel about the whole James Gunn situation, but we may not agree on James Gunn. But no, but going back to this, if we take him at his word, I'm not surprised. Disney, and that's something kind of like what a company does. When a company usually, buys another company, then they start putting their guys in. A lot of times they don't care about who was there before, or even though they might have been very successful at what they did. Generally, what they end up doing is they start cleaning house. And the people that they certainly clean house with are the rebels, and he was definitely considered a rebel. And at the company. So, it's very unfortunate and sad, I don't know. I wasn't there. So I don't know what to make of it. The thing that sucks is There was the first 9 in development, as well as Mayans going forward. Hopefully Mayans continues. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that it does continue. And they get pretty good ratings. Not awesome ratings. Not ratings where it's like they do better than most shows on cable. So I'm pretty sure they'll keep it on. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I hope so. I really do. And I think that Kurt Sutter's creative storytelling is nothing if not just unbelievably unique and special. And again, I don't want to go too far in the weeds on this because I know that this isn't, it touches the Mayans. It's not technically, I don't think, part of the Mayans right at this very second. But honestly, I feel like the FX has been sort of, they've taken advantage of Kurt Sutter's brand a lot. And I like you said, we're in a different phase right now of sort of where corporations are inserting themselves more and more into both the creative process and in the process that was once sacred to just the storytellers. Right. And as we move forward, I'm a little sad to say, but I can see that this is going to continue to happen until we, change the model. But I will say that Kurt Sutter will be missed, not just because, the guy is brilliant. I mean, personally, I his other endeavor on FX, Quick Bastard Executioner, was amazing. If you gave it a chance, it was an unbelievable story, and it really showcased some of Sutter's higher thinking, which I feel like we sometimes miss in some of the more base and crude storytelling that he's also really good at. On the other hand, I also am a little bit nervous for where the story goes from here, although maybe not for this season, because obviously the season's a wrap, but for, if we get picked up again in the next season, because there is sort of a move toward pushing things in a direction that is less than, no, I shouldn't say that. I should say pushing things in a direction that is more PC than not PC. And this series has definitely been very off color at times, not in the sense that it is in your face with cuss words and things like that, more in your face in terms of the boundaries that it's willing to push, and especially one that has such a relevance for today, for what we are experiencing in our own society. And I feel like Kurt Sutter that piece will definitely be missed, both by the Mayans and I think FX in general. So, I mean, I hope that Kurt Sutter, if you're listening, or if any loyal fans are listening, I really hope that he is able to find a platform and a place where his voice and narrative storytelling can find a place to shine. I feel like there's a whole lot more left for him. At the same time, I also recognize that, this is the condition of especially episodic storytelling network-wise. And, until you go Netflix, until you go Hulu, until you go streaming platform that isn't sort of beholden to, right now, the Disney base of power, yep, it's a bit tough. So that's
Disney controls the world.
Yeah, I mean, until something happens on that score, and I don't know how long it's going to last. This is, I think, what we're in for a while. So, yeah, buckle up, everybody.
Yeah, well, I think this is a very important topic, and I'm glad that we are broaching it because, this goes. You said that I really do feel like this is very much a part of the show, this conversation.
Well, it definitely is a part of the show at large. I think I meant it's just not part of this particular episode. That's all.
Oh,
But
well.
I agree. This when you ask fans to be loyal, you're not just asking them to be loyal to a story. You're asking them to be loyal to the actors and characters that make up that story, and we see that. We see it on social media. We see it, and it's not like the network execs don't exploit that. They do. They ask the actors to get out there. They ask them to answer the social media ads. They ask them to engage on all kinds of different platforms, and those people have to put themselves out there. And so, again, I don't know the specifics in the Kurt Sutter situation, but what I can say is, if you're making bank on somebody, then you need to treat them, even if you don't agree with them, you need to treat them with something a little bit less than just throw you out. I'm sorry. I actually think that the way that they handled this was exactly the wrong way to handle it. I mean, basically, it just felt like it was, you're here 1 minute and you're gone the next. And while maybe that's a truth, I don't think that it needed to be done the way that it was done. That's for sure. I don't actually think it needed to be done, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, we'll never know what the truth is. And I wish Kurt Sutter all of the best, and hopefully the show will continue forward.
I certainly hope so myself.
All right, so let's talk about this episode.
So let's talk about. Okay, let's talk about this. First of all, this was just. I mean, in terms of where things are, it was a nuts episode. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It was just crazy. In all the best possible ways, but honestly, there was so much happening that, I was struggling to keep my notes together. It was so crazy. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about just sort of what we saw as the opening scene, because we touched on a lot this episode. So let's just talk about what we saw as sort of the opening scene. Okay. And we know that Easy asked Emily for a favor. We know Easy gave Emily that list of bank transfers, and Emily was somehow able to match them up in the records, right? In the personal household accounts. Okay, so I'm going to make one observation about this, and this is just my own personal observation. For a crime family, they really keep a lot of detailed records that they probably shouldn't keep.
Right, that was completely stupid.
I mean, burn them. Just burn them.
Why would they keep that? Well, for what reason? Why would you keep that?
I guess because they were household records, so maybe it didn't seem like it mattered. I mean, they weren't, those weren't like the company records. They were just, she said they were to various shops and, things for the household. And I get that. I do get that. But how did she if that was the case, how did she match that up in the first place anyway? I don't know. But anyway, all right. I'm just saying, as a crime family, guys, kerosene and a match is a thing. Look into it. So there we go. That's my take on my organized crime advice for the day.
Oh wow, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know that's going to be helpful. So having said that, though, she found out that the numbers did line up, and then subsequently, because we're going to jump around a little bit, subsequently she finds out that it was Dida that wrote the checks.
Yeah.
And when you put all of this into perspective with the fact that Dida met with Felipe up on the roof to say, I've been a really bad person and I'm sorry, I guess the penance for me living through the fire was this. I don't know. In some ways I kind of felt like she was trying to say sorry, not sorry.
How do you even apologize for that?
What's that?
How do you even apologize for trying to whack somebody?
I don't know. And how do you? This is the hubris of Dida to say, please don't ever tell Miguel, and know that you're the one who actually didn't try, but succeeded in killing his wife and tried to kill him. I mean, damn. Dida's got some
Cojones.
Whew, yeah. Let's say that. So, what did you think of that?
No, I thought, man, when I realized that's what was going on, I was sitting there like, yeah, that sounds like Dida. Like that's very Dida-esque. Me personally, I like that turn. I thought that was good. So I don't know why I'm saying a lot today. But anyway, I think that Dida is a very interesting character. That more layers we peel back from the onion and realize, and I see that this is going to make things very interesting. How do we go from here? So we'll see.
The question that I have is, 1, did Miguel know?
Mm-hmm.
2, what does this do for Miguel and Emily's relationship?
Mm-hmm.
And 3, does this change what Felipe is able to reconcile in his own head with the Galindos? Because, I mean, obviously this is it's a crazy spider web, and they did such a good job of actually making the spider web as intricate and crazy as it is. But at the same time, you got the Reyes brothers dealing with their own sort of stuff. You've got that now. You've got Potter asking them for information.
Right.
We have we have all of the revelations that we just had about Dida, and on top of that, I think we also have the relationship that is Easy and his dad, because obviously Easy didn't tell his dad any of that information, and Easy's dad just found out that, oh hey, Easy's been grappling with this for a while, and also not to put too fine a point on it, but that whole circle, or that whole, I guess, spider web is even stickier because Emily is involved, and honestly, look, I agreed with EZ about, when he was railing against Emily about, then Miguel married you. And, I feel like he's actually onto something. What is happening here is truly, lest we forget, the Galindos are positively depraved people.
Interesting as well. She makes veiled threats at both Felipe as well as Easy when she says, hey, I have to protect my family. Right. What does that mean?
What do you think it means?
That means, how far are you going to take this? And if you take it to a certain point, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep what I have intact.
Yeah, I kind of got that feeling myself. Like, look, maybe what I thought was okay this morning is not okay now. And what do I have to do to make this right? Although, just to be totally honest, there is definitely a big part of me that feels like it's always going to come down to Emily and Easy in terms of what is sort of the fastest way to complicate a situation is to throw Easy and Emily into it. And no matter what it is, it seems like the two of them, that's the easiest way to make it happen.
Yeah.
And this episode was definitely
Are you over Emily and Easy?
I was, actually, from the moment that she showed up at his trailer.
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And I felt like whatever needed to be said at that point was like, yeah, okay. I get it from a woman's perspective, right? I understand the characters understanding of what was happening. And I respect the choices.
From a woman's perspective?
Well, the perspective that... Okay, so Easy goes away to jail. I mean, now we're going ancient history, but Easy goes to jail. Emily's got to deal with a bunch of things. She makes choices, and those choices have consequences. But my problem is not in the choices that Emily made. My choice is with her never wanting to take the consequences of the choices that she makes.
Right.
Because it always seems like it comes back to haunt Easy. It always comes back to haunt, or somebody else. It comes back to haunt somebody else when Emily makes a bad choice. And those bad choices are now sort of stacking up in record pace.
Yeah. World record pace. Yeah, she gets on my nerves. She risks, like, she's going to get Felipe killed. And that scene, the scene where Miguel pulls up, I was like, oh, shit. When that happened. And he was like, get in the car. You know, I was like, whoa. That really got me going. I think, though, Nestor played his hand a little too fast.
Yeah, I do, too.
Like, so, I mean, she already knew that she needed to watch out for Nestor, but that was so blatant of a move. And I feel bad for Nestor. Nestor, like, he has to be with the wife and then report on the wife. And, you know, it's like he's getting involved in his real personal stuff. And I think it's a mistake on his part to have Nestor doing it like that. Because at the end of the day, that's your wife. You know? Right. Now, I'm glad they really established that Nestor... Because you don't really know with henchmen, right? You don't know if he's sitting there going, one day this will all be mine. I'm waiting for the opportunity to take over, right?
Right.
But they did that one episode where they showed, I'm thinking they did this on purpose. I would love to ask the writers this. But that episode really showed that he's not someone who's thinking like, okay, one day I'm going to take his spot.
Yeah.
You know, because there's different kind of henchmen. There's the loyal one that is like, I'm going to protect till I die, the boss. Right. And then there's the one that's, I'm waiting for that, like Scarface. I'm waiting for that opportunity so that I can be the boss. So they showed in that episode that he's like, I will protect him till I die. So he's not, he gives off the appearance that he loves his position and he loves Miguel and that he has no designs on trying to usurp Miguel. So in this, it shows you that maybe he can trust him to look after his wife, but just as a man, having someone do that, I don't know, man. I know he can't just follow his wife around like that, but I don't know if that's a great idea.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? The problem with all of this is eventually it gets found out. And so it's not just about Miguel having Emily followed. It's the fallout of what will happen when Emily finds out. And Emily clearly found out. And that creates another layer of distrust, maybe isn't the right word, but suspicion between Emily and Miguel. And, clearly, I think already we've seen over the course of this season that Miguel and Emily are they don't exactly have the smoothest of relationships. I mean, in the first series also, or the first season also. But I feel like in this season, they really went out of their way to show us that, it's kinder. It's functional and it's practical, but it doesn't feel very passionate. It doesn't feel like they really love each other. It doesn't feel like anything like that.
Do you think she has an unrequited love for Easy? Like, do you think in her perfect picture, her and Easy would be together, or do you think?
No.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was where they were going with this, but in this season, no, she loves being the queen, you know, and I think on some levels, he's
what
like
she
the
feels
fantasy
for Easy, I think, is regret,
right?
And sometimes you can even confuse regret with having deeper feelings, because when you think that you've made a mistake with someone, sometimes that leads you to sort of do things that you might not normally do for someone, and then that does kind of open up a bit of a Pandora's box for other stuff. But in this case, honestly, I think that Emily is she's committed to the Galindos, not committed necessarily just to Miguel, just to the family.
She loves it. She wants to be in the mix.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you know what it is like from just the personal side, not her ambitions. It's like the drum. Like you have two guys. You're a woman and you have two guys. You have the drummer, and you have the doctor. Now the drummer, you're passionate with. He's fun. He's exciting. You never know what's going to happen.
Right.
But he doesn't have the stability. You don't know if he can take care of you. There's gigs the gigs are come and go, lives kind of a bohemian lifestyle. Then you have the doctor who's real financially stable, successful, and you know that he's going to take care of you. You may not have the same passion for the doctor, but you know that it's going to be, you're going to live a certain life and you're good. And so I think that's kind of her situation as far as the emotion side of it. I think probably with Easy, she probably has more passion and love. Like in her perfect world, that's probably the guy she could be with. But with Miguel, she gets to live the life that she wants to live,
See, I understand what you're saying, but I think I sort of flip it around. I think that Easy still believes that he's in love with Emily. And I think that he still holds on to some part of, if just this happens, maybe this will happen. Or, Easy is smart, but he's not very emotionally mature. He definitely has some.
Well, he was in prison thinking about his girl that he left while he was in prison.
That's what I mean.
And she was leveling up while he was in prison.
Yep. And I think that,
and to make it worse, she's leveling up with the family that caused his mother's death.
And Emily has not just moved on from Easy, but Emily has Emily's plans for herself, for her family, for whatever, they're of a different caliber than Easy can possibly provide. This isn't really a case of, secretly I'm in love with Easy. I don't think she is.
No, I don't think she is either. I'm just saying.
I think Easy is.
No, I'm not saying that she's in love with him still. I think that if all things were equal, she probably has more, like, as just a guy. If it was just all things were equal, just as a guy that she would be into, it would be him. But, that's not how the world works. So, right. Like, if everything was equal, like, everything was equal, they had the same amount of money and all of that kind of stuff, I think she probably would choose Easy.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that's not how it is. Miguel has power. He has status, Right. So that's the difference, I think.
And I actually think that in some ways is more important to Emily than love. I think love is actually
right. That's why she's with him.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's pretty strong. But I also don't underestimate the power that Miguel has had to manipulate the entire situation. I don't underestimate that in any way, shape, or form. It is very possible that Miguel already knew or knows a lot of what's happening. And, he plays everything so close to the vest that he barely registers emotion. It's just, it has to be something really big for him to latch onto. So we don't know. exactly what Miguel may or may not know. We know he knows a lot, but he clearly doesn't know everything because he doesn't know about the Dida situation. If he did, that would truly be pretty enormous.
But
And
what
I
do
feel
you
like
do with that though? That knowledge? Does he go kill Dida? Do you think he would kill Dida?
who? Philippe?
Easy.
Felipe? Oh, easy. Oh.
No,
Oh,
I don't
God.
think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think Emily. I don't think Emily would put it past Easy. Like I don't think Emily would, maybe necessarily think, oh well, okay, if I give this information to Easy, he's going to do the responsible thing with it, because I think she's already seen how
he just
passionate he gets about it.
And then think about it. The last task that she put him on, it ended with someone getting shot in the face.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Who knows if he has a conversation with her, it may end up with her getting shot in the face. So,
well, I can say one thing. This entire episode was really centered, not just around it was centered around a lot of things, but I think one of the biggest things that it was centered around was a kind of trust. There's the trust that you have in the people that you know. There's the trust that you have in the people that you don't know. There's the trust that you have in yourself. There's, there was a lot of that sort of going on. And it certainly seems to me, specifically in this episode, that the trust factor, you can't always trust what you see. You can't always trust that you know what's going on without looking beneath it. And it seems like a lot of that was revelation this episode,
Right.
So, yeah, there's that.
Okay. Now, we got to talk about the dumbest parlay in the history of parlays.
Oh, for the love of Peter, Michael, and Joseph. My grandmother is probably, she's like, don't use that phrase. I out loud, I said to myself, the moment that they pulled up at the casino, the moment that they were there, I was like, this is the most prime spot for an ambush that I could think of. And this was before I even knew that the other club was coming. And I mean, I couldn't help but think that, wow. Okay,
how did you think that you could go into their organization and shoot up the place and mess up all their money and that they were just going to forgive you? That was dumb.
Right.
Like, that was dumb. Like, and the Suns really needed to make the Suns really understand that there was no peace between us. Like, it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
And so the fact that they met up, I guess they thought that was that little safe haven. And so basically they made the deal with the Suns just so that they could put themselves in a position to attack the Mayans.
That's what it seems like. Yeah.
Because they just didn't care.
Right.
Because because that's a place that's supposed to be a safe haven. It's almost like the Continental in John Wick.
Right.
Where that's why they meet there, is because it's agreed that nothing is going to happen on those grounds. So that's why they feel
are excommunicado now.
Right. They are excommunicado. So, and when that scene at the end, which was predictable that was going to happen, and they did a good job of acting like, oh no, we're not going to go along. We're going to go along. Okay. All right. We got a deal. And they just came back and started firebombing the cars. And, one problem about the show is they get in these firefights and they're so good, but everyone they're going against sucks. So they get in these firefights and none of their men ever get hurt or harmed, really, right?
Right.
So in this one, there was no way that they could have had that without somebody getting it. So I thought that was, when it started happening, it was like, there's no way with that kind of ad hominem attack, someone has to get it. So Coco, of course, got blinded, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember the one that's in the hospital, which they kind of set up a little bit.
Yeah, and actually, I kind of think, quite honestly, that that this is that it's part of Payback. That it's part of like it's hard to set up the kind of Payback that would have happened. No, okay. Let me say this a different way. I think it is a lot harder for the Mayans to pull off what I think is probably going to happen in the next 2 successive episodes. If they didn't have a really strong and powerful reason for it to happen. And I mean, because a lot of it, and we've seen it over the season quite a bit, is because, there are certain rules that everyone respects, and there are certain there's a way to take there's a way to say that you're being disrespected. I mean, like, there's a whole code involved, and Riz getting shot and maybe not ever coming back is, I think, a way to sort of say, hey, you didn't just mess with us. You messed with this whole operation. And it's also, quite honestly, it's also another way to get more or a greater deal of the Sons of Anarchy line involved. Because there's no way that Sons of Anarchy, there's no way that they don't feel affronted as well. Especially after, he stood up there and made them acquiesce to the extra 5% over 2 years. I mean, like, that was a big deal.
Right.
So, yeah, that's that. I think that's actually that's more than a big deal. That's actually a huge deal because who other than, well, I don't know, I guess could have been anybody, but I mean, I'm glad that it was Chibs, because I just feel like, yeah, that was the right thing to do. But I mean, how does he just let it go?
Right.
I don't think that that's even possible. It also sets things up for another excursion to the other side of the border, which could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I find it interesting. Why are they so worried about Chibs, though? Like, how does he have that juice to be like, this is what y'all gonna do, and like, I don't know. That was kind of funny to me. Like, and there was only 4 of them. So what was,
Yeah, I don't know even.
That was kind of...
And also, what was that's what Teller wanted?
Right.
What was that about?
Yeah, that whole Jackie Boy would be proud. Like, do they care that much about Jackie Boy?
I feel like, no.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it was just, that was like, it felt intentional, but it also felt like out of left field, so I didn't even know what the heck to make out of it. I'll say this about the gang on gang thing, right?
Right.
So, first of all, as the club, the Mayans are coming up to the safe house, right? Mm-hmm. There's this great overhead shot of all the crows flying.
Right? I thought that was great.
Okay, so a couple ways. First of all, to see that, flying straight as a crow is a big deal. But do you know what a group of crows is called?
What?
A murder.
A murder?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So you have a murder of. I mean, like.
How do you know that?
What do you mean? How do I know that? Because I've been alive for a lot of years.
You act like everybody knows that.
Well, come on.
Just because you've been alive don't mean you know that. So stop.
Okay. So
I've been alive a long time too, Missy.
So probably this has to do with my my 2 year phase as a emo teenager where I read nothing but Poe, and yeah, maybe that was it.
So you learned that from reading Edgar Allan Poe. I can't even say it.
But by proxy, sure, by proxy.
I've read Edgar Allan Poe too, and I don't remember that.
Also, although it wasn't directly related, but it was sort of still a shout out when Potter shows up and the crows are eating the carrion on the ground. We don't know that the crows killed that prey, but to me it was actually such a strong portent about what was sort of to come that I wrote furious notes. Okay, so let's have a quick conversation about Potter.
Yeah, First of all, that was the first time we actually seen real emotion out of him. Like,
yeah. And I was gonna say, Angry Potter is not somebody that I actually like. I don't like Angry Potter. It throws.
I don't like Calm Potter either, though.
No, I can deal with Calm Potter because he's methodical and because he's predictable isn't the right word, but there is a sense of like almost zen to his craziness.
And so some would say he's an asshole.
I can deal with that. I don't know how to deal with insane Potter. I mean, that was pretty big. Why do you think that happened then? Why do you think it exploded and erupted at that moment?
Well, he's a guy that loves to have everything in his favor, like to know what's going on, to be ahead. And this was like one of those times where he didn't have everything. You know what I mean? He didn't have all the information. He wasn't a step ahead, and it bugs the hell out of him. Like, it totally bugs the hell out of him that this is going on and he doesn't know all the facts and whatnot. And he knows that he's being lied to, and he feels like he's not in control, and he needs to be in control. He's the very definition of a control freak. He's a control super freak.
Do you think that Potter is maybe for the first time? Also, just as a quick shout out, man, Ray McKinnon has some kind of epic ability to make Potter whatever he wants. I say that like, that flip switch thing was pretty good. That was actually really good. I mean, as scary as it was to see Potter out of control, that was. I felt like that was really.
And he
that
doesn't
was one
flinch.
of the reasons that you want this guy as Potter. But what I think is happening is, I think that Potter realizes it's not just that he's getting played, but I think Potter realizes that he no longer has the control over the people that he thought he did. Like, it's easy to control people when you've got something up your sleeve, when you've got an ace up your sleeve, right?
Right.
If the only ace up Potter's sleeve is they're going to deport his dad, which, don't get me wrong, it's a big thing. I smell desperation.
Right.
And the question to me is, does this mean that Potter really thinks that there is something more sinister than him at work here? Because I feel like Potter thinks that he's way more cunning, way more sinister than the MC, than the Galindos, than basically anybody. And in this one case, it feels like maybe he's so far out of or he thinks he's so far out of the loop that what little control he had of the whole situation is now slipping away. Right. And even though he has Adelita, I don't think he quite understands, sort of like you said, or like he said, how far down the rabbit hole does this go? How far does this ruse go? And I feel like that is, like, he was being super honest in that moment, but I honestly have to wonder if Potter is just sort of like, now that he's got what he wants, now he realizes that that's not all he wanted.
Right. No, I feel like this dude thinks that he knows that he's being lied to, which normally he's not a stupid man. He knows, okay, they're going to try to put something on him, and he's not going to always have all the information, right? But this was such an egregious thing that's happened, so he has to, this is like really next level burning him.
Yeah, and just to sort of put some punctuation to that, I think that I have to wonder if Potter is now beginning to sort of suspect that maybe they have something on him, and that's why they're not being totally honest. They don't at this very moment. They now with what Miguel was given, now they do,
right?
But they didn't before. But I have to wonder if maybe Potter is starting to think, well, maybe they know something that I don't, and that would cause him to overreact, right?
Right.
Because who said it? Who said it's always? Oh, Miguel. Miguel said it's always a woman.
Always a woman.
And I think that that's actually real. I think that's totally real.
Yeah, I know from personal. Always y'all always messing us up.
Whenever there's a group of men involved, and I say this in the most loving way, but whenever there is a group of men involved, the weakness, the chink in the armor, is always a woman. There's almost zero stories. There's a couple, but there are very few stories out there that are sort of like of the epic proportion that deal with a group of men that don't include a woman being part of the downfall of one or all of them. And this, I think, or is used as a weapon, used as bait, used as some kind of bargaining chip, used whatever. And in this case, I sense strongly that this is Potter's kryptonite. I don't think we would have been given privy to such information if it wasn't super important. And I feel kind of like Galindo needs to have some kind of check put on him, because story-wise, he's just way too powerful.
Right.
So I guess we'll see what happens. I guess we'll just have to see. I hesitate to. Miguel promised that nothing would happen to them, but
do you believe that?
I don't, because I watched Miguel in the first season of the Mayans torture and kill a boy's dad in front of him.
But he's different now.
I mean, that was just insane.
But he's different now.
Oh yeah, he's different.
He's
now.
grown.
Yeah. Well, he certainly looks better with his. I love his new look. I like his new. He's got such a rugged mountain man look. It's kind of good. I love it.
You and your rugged mountain man.
So, yeah, I know. It's true. Something about that. I don't know. He's. Miguel is one of the few bad boys that I have just 0% attraction to, and I think it has to do with, because I really admit that I am definitely a bad boy woman. But I think that the reason that I don't find myself being like, oh yeah, Miguel, is because he is so bad that like I can barely find redeemable space for him. I mean, I don't find anything that Miguel does to have some kind of like, oh yeah, he's just misunderstood, or there's this little part of him or that. No, no.
I feel bad for nerds. You are so nerdy, but nerd women don't like nerd guys. Poor nerds. Like, even the nerd chick is like, I want a bad boy.
Yeah, but you'll see how far that's gotten me in life. So it's not it's not really a good plan overall. It's just one of those weird.
All you nerd guys, I feel for you. You got to become Bill Gates to get a woman.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing too.
Because even the nerd girls is like, not me either.
So, but before we go, I just want to touch real quick on poor Coco, who at the end, says, I can't see, and man, is clearly going to suffer with some pretty bad injuries here.
Why'd they choose Coco?
I know, of all the
That's my favorite. Well, I always say that. My favorite three is Bishop, Angel, and Coco.
But, it does sort of throw into the mix. Coco is Easy's sponsor, right?
Right.
And it does kind of open up a couple of opportunities because we know that the vote is coming up soon. And so it's possible that could be sort of a slow walk of Easy's vote. Right. I feel like there could be something attached to that. I don't know. I don't, but right. It just seemed like poor Coco. Yeah. I really feel bad for him. So I guess we'll see what happens on next week's episode. And like Kinte said, if we can get to podcast, great. But if not, then we'll have to do kind of a double episode for the week afterwards. And don't worry, I'll take copious notes.
Copious. Yes.
So how can people find you? Oh, I should ask first. Is there anything else that you want to bring up?
No. Nope. That's it. We got it.
Everything feels good?
Everything feels amazing.
All right, then. Everything feels great except for Coco.
Oh.
That's the only
I'm going to drink some Coco in his honor.
Yeah, there we go. I think I'd probably drink some whiskey in his honor, but okay.
Well, his name is Coco, not whiskey.
Well, at least spike it. All right,
and I'll eat some tacos because I'm about to eat some tacos. So tacos and Coco. How about that? All right, you can get me at Kinte F on Twitter, Kinte Ferguson on Instagram, and of course the website is indyradio.org. That's INDY radio.org. How can they get you, Jen?
You can find me on social media, Twitter at followingbliss1, and you can check out my websites at moviesmakethemeal.com and criticallaughs.com.